Yes, you're gonna have people turn their backs, but it's time for us to keep it real. Just keep talking that real, bro. Do what you do. I know what you do, so keep doing that. Talk the real.
The HBI lads will see you now. See you now. See you now.
I don't want to cause no problems. I just want to live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense.
What do you got?
All right, we're in.
Yeah,
You all know why. You all know why you're here. We're done with the intros. We just found a new gangster intro. We've got the four boys here. We're about to talk about outsourcing and just not burdening yourself with every task in the damn business. And these boys are about to teach me a few lessons, and I hope they're about to teach you all a few lessons. So, Mina, contextually where you're at and share some of your knowledge, please.
Easy, man. So for me, I'm quite big on expansion, but in order to expand, you've got to kind of have your foundations laid out pretty well thought out. A couple of things for me that I guess have allowed me to develop and kind of keep opening up clinics is kind of stop being a tight ass and watching every cent that comes through, and more focus on outsourcing the stuff that really takes up a lot of time. When you look at it, before we started, Nathan kind of hit it perfectly, and you've got to look at like how much time you can actually give something versus how much your time is worth, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at things like, all right, cool. So if I need to, have a receptionist, or how many treatments do I need to make in order to be, to be able to have that receptionist in there, So now, I used to do the bookkeeping, I used to do the reception work, I used to do the marketing, I used to do the follow-up calls, I used to do everything, right? Yes, we can do everything, but how effective are you going to be doing everything? You can't put 100% effort into 100 things because you're only going to get 1% outcome out of that. So I saw a big drop in profit. However, my ability to expand has just been exponential. And the fact in the first time I'm actually got too many clients versus therapists, and this is something that I know even Benny, when I started off with you, it was just like a dream. How do we kind of get to that stage, right? And you learn,
Flying, bro.
And you fuck up a lot, right? And you stress a lot because your brain, when you have a business, it just doesn't stop. When you get home, there's no 9 to 5, right? So the biggest thing I've done at the moment is get a bookkeeper on board, right? So someone who does all my pays across 2 clinics, she does all my reporting for financials, she does everything I possibly need her to do. And this stuff would take me a good hour, 2 hours a night. So when you look at it, in terms of a fortnight, you've wasted $1,400 worth of your time. If you average yourself about $100 an hour, it's just $1,400 worth of time. And if you look at what they actually cost you to operate, it's not even, it's nowhere near that, right? So it's really important to kind of plan and see how much things are going to cost you and how effective you can be, when you actually come to do it. Like, I love treating. That's all I kind of really want to do, right? So for me, onboarding Tash, who's also our marketing manager, she organizes everything for us, everything is dated, everything has a way of forming out. So you've got to outsource. Everything is organized, everything goes out on time, and it just gives you so much time back in your day to be actually spend some family time. Now we've got kids coming and life's happening, and Nathan's already kind of been already in that sort of stuff. He's given us a heads up to say, boys, look after your time because you're not going to have much of it, right?
Yeah, 100%, man.
You're done, boys. You're gone. You're gone.
Well, it's like, and you want to do it now before it happens, right? Like, people have probably heard me harp on this, but it's the classic statement, and it was told to me by a patient of mine. It was like, you think you're busy now, you're just filling time. When you have a child, you're truly busy, right?
Yeah.
But I think looking at everything that Mina just said, there's something that there's a sort of idea that you have to start with, right? And that's, what is your time worth? And, when you first start in practice or in anything, you don't usually have a great value of your time because you've usually been a student or something like that. You used to not work and not get paid. Oh, mate, so poor. And then I remember one of my favorite things, I probably talked about this before, or if anyone who hasn't journeyed down the line of the Naval podcast, definitely needs to.
Hey, I was just going to say this, bro.
Oh, man, it's mine. But like,
you say it.
in his money one, in his wealth creation one, which is some of the best tips
he's a fucking
ever.
Jet, bro. He's like, so
and they're
wise.
like little 3 to 5 minutes. Like, might as well just turn this off now and fuck off over there. But
Yeah.
Like one of the things he talks about is like he set his hourly rate at what he wanted it to be in the future, right? And he
$5,000?
decided his hourly rate was $5,000 US,
Yeah.
right? And so he
An hour.
didn't do anything that paid him less, right? And like, of course, he did stuff, but like, so if he thought something was worth less than that, he outsourced it, right? And so it's just like, he's like, why waste your time with stuff that's not moving you forward? And the other thing he really talks about, which I think is important for all of us, especially in healthcare, because we always talk about that wanting to give back, but not taking non-stop meetings, right? He's like, people always reach out to him like, hey, can we catch up? And he's like, can we do it in text? He's like, if people want to meet, can they do it in an email? If people want an email, can they do it in a text? It's like, can we take it from the longer format into the shorter format? And then if in the shorter format, you convince me that it's worth my time, then we'll do the other thing, right?
Yeah. It's like a screening process that he ran by.
And it's actually like genius because it comes back to that same principle that, we only have so many hours in the day. And I think the number one statement we're going to see throughout this discussion is that just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's the infamous, everyone would have heard this one when it comes to trading, right? More isn't better. Better is better. And that's how your business should be looked at, right? Like, I can work 7 days a week and make more money, but why would I want to?
Yeah. And at what cost and what are you willing to pay for that, relationship, health, money, whatever, the sacrifice and the cost comes in so many forms. And I love that you touch on Naval. If you guys, Mina and Dan, or you guys listening, haven't listened to or heard of Naval, he's this, was he Indian fella?
Yeah.
Like serial entrepreneur, rich as, and he just drops those, like, he had like a conversation, right? Went for like, how long, 2.5, 3 hours or something? And
they just dropped it to like little 5-10 minute blip.
Like,
because it's all about his
minutes.
Things he puts on Twitter, and then they explain it out. And it is honestly,
the Twitter
to this
storm.
day, some of the best advice I've ever heard on wealth creation. Like,
he's a fucking jet.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's really, really good. I think that, and Nath, you touched on it, relating back to what we do, because we're all trading time for money, right? So if you operate 8 hours a day, face to face, one-on-one, right? What can you do in that time? Nothing, right? Like, you're one-on-one. It's the most time intensive and energy intensive thing you'll do. So let's say you clock up 8 hours face to face, you clock up, look at your phone, you've got 4 hours screen time on your phone. You're like, all right, there's 12 hours of the day gone. Then you look at your meal time, then you're like, all right, I've literally run out of time. So I think I'm in this position at the moment where I definitely need to start outsourcing some things. And I've just been hanging out for Tamia to go on some maternity leave to really give me a hand, just to build out some policies and stuff. So I think that's what we dive into next, is like, well, outsourcing is fantastic, but you need to set up potential, like Dan's just spoke about this week, how he's just hired 4 new people. I think that, and what we're doing at the moment, we're outsourcing some of the podcast shit because I'm just not getting it done, and I'm just being a big dog to the boys. So basically, you've identified you need to outsource, and you've identified that your time's better spent elsewhere. How have you then created steps to make sure that the outsourcing is successful and that the person's not coming to you all the time for questions, and they're calling you and saying, how do you do this? How do you do that? What would you like to do here? Anyone feel open to chip in? I think, Dan, you haven't said much today, so jump in.
Yeah, I'll wait for the right moments.
Crocodile.
It was similar to what Mina said, really. It just got to the point where I was like, I was doing everything, and then now doing the teaching as well. It's like, I still practice, but I don't really have time to try and do all the extra stuff in the background. Like, what's my student login? I can't find the Zoom call. Where's the lecture? How do I book in to see you? Like, all these little things that like just don't need me there. Like, so I can focus on being the mentor, being the coach, and being the osteo. So
doing the things you want to do.
Yeah, and just realistically, again, it's like, well, how much is your intrinsic hourly rate worth, or how much do you want it to be worth? And then if your hourly rates, if you're charging $90 for a session, and it's a half an hour session, like your time's worth $180 an hour. If it costs you $25 to pay a VA or a designer or something like that, even $50, it's like you're still essentially, the opportunity cost of that scenario is you're actually spending money to make money. It's just a bit of a, like Mina said, your profit will take a hit initially, like, my profit took a massive hit last week when I signed everyone, but I'm like, it's 30 days to 60 days of less profit margin to then allow me to catapult to the next level. And, that's going to have dividends eventually so you can't be tied up.
Scaling the business, and then to the old classic 1 step back to go 2 steps forward. Like even go deeper into how would you set them up? Mina about to say something.
No, I'll say Dan hit a really good point there, and the reason why people don't outsource initially because they don't actually understand how much benefit they're going to get back. They don't know how much it's actually going to cost them, right?
Yeah.
Now, time is so valuable to us, and when you have that time, you can maximize your profits after that, right? For example, now that I've got Tash doing everything, that extra 5 minutes that I could spend with my clients, I could spend that time going through rehab and getting better results and finalizing everything instead of cutting their treatment short and having to do all the payments sort of thing, just so I'm not late for the next person, right? And structure governs function, right? Structure governs function. So whenever you're hiring VAs,
I've heard that before.
right? So whenever you're hiring VAs or you're hiring other practitioners, like you need to spend time investing in policies and procedures. Like you need to have things really clear and thorough, so that way when receptionists are looking at, because I'm in here treating all the time, I'm not going to have time to be able to bounce back every 2 minutes. So if your criteria and all the procedures aren't kind of really thorough and straightforward, then things aren't going to get done properly, right? And you need an onboarding process. So you need to be able to spend time with them week on week for a couple of weeks until they get it kind of down pat. And then here's a bunch of resources for if you need any questions, they're all going to be here. So,
yeah, absolutely, bro. I think
you're trying to clean yourself.
Yeah, well, I how I usually do anything when I'm trying to, whether it's an onboarding process. Sorry, boys. Basically what I would do is I don't know what you boys do, but a written policy and then a screen record with a voiceover, and you're trying to get whatever's in your head onto a bit of paper, and like you're spelling it out like step by step by step, and you're trying to make it foolproof and like bulletproof so that the person is not, as I said, it takes it time to make it really efficient and effective step-by-step process, and to make sure there's no questions asked. You have to test and trial until you just got it all in a little booklet, and you're like, all right, this is how you do a podcast. Usernames, descriptions, this is how you should write the titles. This is how you embed it into the website, literally making it so that you're not spending any extra time doing more and more training where you don't have to. So I think that for me, I've written a video, a voiceover, some face-to-face shit or on the live sort of chat. I'm like, man, you can't really make it any more simple than that. What about you boys?
Yeah, I'm pretty big on the same, like using Loom. I don't know if that's what you use, but using Loom essentially and having like just some walkthrough videos, like onboarding process. I treat it the same way I treat like clients, really. It's like make sure that they understand everything back to back, like when they're getting onboarded, so you're not getting questions about, how do I read RPE or sets or reps or this. It's like, here's a 10-15 minute video, you film it once, film it really high quality, and it's saving you hours of going back and forth in the future. And then obviously just accepting that you're gonna have to invest a bit of time the first month, because there's going to be that trial and error process. Like you can't expect to drop money and then all of a sudden it starts working. Like it's only going to work as well as your systems, really. So, yeah, I mean, having process is key.
Nate's drinking a lot of water there. I think you're salivating at the mouth, trying to get some words in, bro.
Yeah, well, you got to keep that hydration up, mate. But no, I think that's bang on with the boys, right? I think we have a digital document on digital procedures and policies, and that way it's constantly updated, right? By the time you finish it, you're starting back through it and updating it, moving through. Allows me to screenshot across. So that's there, and the front desk is constantly working and sort of editing that process. And then one of the things I'm doing myself, after what sort of Dan showed me with Loom and things like that, is both for patient and for other practitioner, because I'm about to start a new chiro in with me in the next week or two. And I've got another front desk stuff starting. I want that continuity, right? So I'm going to Loom everything up. Mate, Loom up the key stuff, right? Like procedures, policies, mate, is there. But the video stuff's there for the key stuff, like how to book a client, what we do different from a new patient, someone rescheduling, how you explain certain things. Like I've got a big offsite workshop I'm going to set up in the next month. we sit down with all the new staff. We're going to start with a bit of, going through our values, because I think values are an essential for your business, right? Like if people don't understand what your values
vision.
are,
Yeah,
they can't get on board. And then we're going to really work through how our brand does things, so it's as easy as possible for all my staff. If someone's in the street, it's like, hey, what do they do? It's like, bam, there it is. And that way we're just all on board. So anything we do, anything that's done is there. And then of course we're going to get on the beers, but you got to have all three.
most importantly.
Exactly.
Culture.
But you just really got, you've got to be on the same page, because otherwise you're going to have issues. And with this, outsourcing, some stuff can't be outsourced. Like I really have to do this loom like stuff. I have to set this stuff up, because if I don't, who else is going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to take that responsibility. It's the same for setting up the patient journey. That's the thing, same kind of thing I want to do, where I can outsource that. It's like, hey, I don't understand, like Dan said, RPE, or I'm not sure about my squat. All right, sweet. I'm going to send you this link, or go to my website. There's a link right there. I want you to go through that, and then come to me with any questions, right? Like it's a double service. I was like, I want to give you the basics right now. I want you to go learn, and then let's deal with this after, rather than going, all right, let's spend 40 minutes trying to do this here, when really you could already have the person set up in a better position, right? So the education back end is something that I'm building really heavily, and it's a way to outsource. Yeah, it's like I said, it's like paying up front, right? In this case, you're paying with your time. It's time intensive first up, but you get a long-term resource that will also set you apart from your competition, right? And something that you can constantly add to. And so the same goes in outsourced as our booking systems, right? Like constantly being aware of how you might be able to do better with your booking system to make that more streamlined.
Yeah.
Looking for new programs, apps that integrate better. It's all about, like the way I like to frame it when we're training is, I want to be able to do the absolute minimum for the maximum gain. And so it's like, all right, where's that maximal recoverable volume, as they say, in terms of practice, where I can see a maximum amount of clients, I can give them the maximum amount of service, I can make good profit from that, and I can enjoy a good life on the other side of that. So, at times in your journey, certain areas of that are going to take more than others. And we have to be comfortable with that to a point, but it's playing the long game, right? Like we come back to what I said at the start about Naval. It's not about what you're getting paid now, it's about what you're getting paid in the future, right? Like, don't be like, oh, I want to get $90 an hour now. Like, if your long-term goal is to make $4,000 an hour, then let's start thinking like that, right? Because if you're not going to think it, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, then you're not planning towards it.
Yeah.
There's no vision.
Absolutely.
So I think it's such an important part of things is really, it comes back to that, Jesus, I'm just referencing everyone though, the old start with why. Like if you don't know why you're doing it.
Worldly.
No, if you don't know why you're doing it, what's the point, right? Like if you can ask somebody like, so why do you want to do that? And they're like, oh, because I heard it's a thing. You're like, all right, well then you don't value it, so there's no point, right?
Yeah.
Unless you value something, it's not going to happen. So and I think I'm going to finish my rant today on this point. If you finding yourself doing a lot of this work, right? Like I've got friends I asked, and I was like, why are you doing pays? Why are you doing all the website programming and all this stuff? And they're like, oh, because I can. And I'm like, all right. And so I'm like, oh, because I enjoy it. I was like, no one enjoys that. Like, that's bullshit. That's a cop-out saying that you can't surrender control and you don't
exactly right.
value your time enough. Yeah. And that's fine.
I got problems with doing that. I had.
Yeah. But you have to be able to look in the mirror and go, well, this is my problem. And if I can't complain about it because I've made the choice to do this.
It's all a choice.
Everything in life's a choice. Even if it wasn't made, the decision wasn't made for you, how you react to it's your choice, right? But if you want to change, then you have to make the other decision.
Yeah.
Very good, bro. I like that. I think that we've smashed the outsourcing and how to do so. I just want to touch on it as well, and we haven't had a lot of podcasts uploaded in the last 12 months, but there's been some serious growth between Nath and Mina and Dan and myself, and we all used to run everything on our own, right? And Nate's only coming up to his first year in the next 3 weeks. Did you say?
Yeah,
Already.
March 11, mate.
Yeah.
1 year.
Shit.
Well done, bro. And man, like as I said, I'm still guilty of not letting control go, or not trusting the other people, or not being prepared to spend money here, or just being flat out fucking consumed with everything, and you're too busy to write the bloody policies to be able to train someone up.
Yeah.
But it's also okay, and this is Andy Frisella touches on this, is like it's very good for you as the boss to know how to run everything in the business, and how to you don't have to be better than everyone in every position in your business. But he goes on to say that he could do every role in the company better than the current people he's got employed. And it doesn't have to be exactly like that. But as Mina said, you got to keep your finger on the pulse. You got to know what's going on, and you got to be able to work out whether things are going well or things are going shit, and if things can be made more efficient, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So don't be afraid to take it all on, you know, to begin with, to learn how to do each skill set well. Knowing enough,
and naturally you're going to be doing everything anyway.
It happens anyway, because you got lack of money, so therefore you can't exactly hire people when you got no fucking money coming through.
It's just part of the growth. So I think, you know, to any new practitioner, let's kind of dabble on, you know, what should you outsource and you know, what should you outsource and when, right? So these are the sorts of things that I would kind of, you know, anyone in their first 12 months, I would say have a look at outsourcing your bookkeeping pretty much straight away. Right, and reception. You don't have to have a receptionist there from 8 to 8. You know, you can have them there for at least a peak of the day, 4 hours or something. All right, just to kind of give you that leverage to be able to do your customer check-ins, to do your client bookings, to check the clients you haven't had from 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, or you know, these are the sort of 2 things that I would highly recommend people do, because you know, you can integrate the receptionist role with marketing and even pay them a little bit more. Right, there's a lot of things that you can make versatile. Like with Tash, like it was just an awesome way to kind of, like I said to her, what sort of job do you envision, right, to have? And I took every bit of one of her, what she's really good at, and put them into a role, right? And we created her own role and paid her according to what she's doing.
Absolutely.
Nice, bro.
Yeah, I think cover some good shit. I think that, get a handle on everything, as you boys said, value yourself highly, and specific to health professionals like us, we've got to, you know, obviously we've got a direct dollar per minute that we can earn, but understand that if your time is consumed one-on-one with people, then you're going to have fuck all time to do everything else. So, and if you're a good practitioner like we all are here, then your demand will soon exceed your supply very, very quickly.
Really quick.
And I think that outsourcing that's where I'm at the moment, and then consolidating a few things.
It's the best thing ever. It's the best thing ever.
No,
so
it is.
You'll go back.
You wonder why you didn't do it sooner.
Yeah, it just took away.
I've done a little bit, but just not enough. But any final words, boys? Anything that we missed?
No, I think just kind of like, don't think that I'm not there yet. You know, I think plan out for it and see what the contributing costs will be, and at least that way you've got a plan in place. You know, the more time you can save, the more money you're going to make.
Yeah. And I think like exactly just what Mina said, don't ever think I'm not there yet. Like you have to make the jump to get there early, right? And so if you want to get to a place, you have to act like you're there beforehand. If you're waiting to you get to that point, you'll never get there.
That's right. Got a bit of intention and fucking what's it called? Just you gotta be very decisive and very you know, you gotta ready to take the jump, take the risk. If shit doesn't work out, you try again, you fire someone, whatever. It's you know, or you just try a different process. It's like it's not like you've made a decision. You're not married to it, right? It's not until death do us part. So don't be afraid to chop limbs when you don't need them, and to also, as you said, boys, plant seeds where you have to, fucking capitalize on all that sort of shit. I think it was a good podcast. I'm happy with that.
Nice. I hope everyone agrees. Well, I'm going to do it because it needs to be done.
Plug it.
Enjoyed it today. Pay it forward. Grab the screenshot. Throw it up on the gram. This is how we get this information out to more people. And of course, give us a 5-star rating and subscribe wherever you're getting your podcasts from. Boys, pleasure as always.
Always.
I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, lads.